morning, sim fans, race fans, RC fans, Racing 393, and we're back here for another quick video. This is only going to be a quick, short video, and it's basically, I've done videos on setups, like using tools. I'm just going over some basic, to be honest, basic knowledge that I have, and trying to pass that on to anybody that wishes to learn a little bit about the setting up of a car. I have extensive experience in setting up race cars, karts, stock cars, and some of that knowledge can be transferred over to the RC world. Bit of setup. Now, bear in mind, this car, as I've said before, I can't remember, 22 years old, 1998 was it? I want to say around about then, but it spans maybe a few years before and a few years after. I can't quite remember now. You'll have to watch the other videos and see when I mention it. So things on this car are, let's say, probably less than, new. So there's a bit of play in places here and there, although I have stripped it down and cleaned it and made sure nothing was broken. There's a few bits and pieces, but it's salvageable and usable nevertheless. So what I decided to do is, those that know me, I'm quite into my setup, going from my real life experience, radio controlled car knowledge, even to sim racing. I do like tweaking, and I don't know, maybe some of it can be a little bit of a placebo. From real life, I would disagree. It has more of an effect in real life racing, karting, tyre pressures, for example. Stock car racing, corner weights. It does make a difference, but not a huge amount. I think a lot of it is still down to the driver. So if you're not quick enough, tweaking the car's not going to gain you half a second. You might get a couple of tenths at most, but a good driver will always be a good driver. Going on to RC cars, does making the car setup make a difference? I'll let you debate that. I'm not really here to discuss whether it will or not. I mean, I've had this one on my Sky RC corner weight scales. I don't know, did it make a difference? It was okay setting it up. But anyway, another tool I've got today, and today we've got a ride height and camber gauge. Now the ride height's the bit at the bottom. Just want to say now off the bat that it's no good for this type of vehicle, because we've got kind of, what's that there, 10 mil. So we've got like a measurement of 10 mil there, and you can see on the car itself it's put about 20-25 mil there. So the actual ride height is absolutely no good for anything off-road. Probably more suited to a Formula car or my LMP 112 carpet racer. Definitely be able to use that on it then. But we bought this mainly for the other measurement, which is the camber gauge. So you've got a camber setting here. This is the read line, this is sort of the 0, and then you put this against the wheel, and it's got a little cutout, which you can probably see there. There's a little cutout which the wheel nut, this is a 1/10 scale, so the wheel nut just sits in there nicely so it doesn't foul, and we put it up against the rim. I've done this one on the left. I'm going to move the camera just to show you. So as you can see, we've got the left rear tyre. Now, one of the other important things, I've got a setup plate upstairs, which is made of glass, tempered glass. But I didn't bring that down with me to do this, but the table I'm using is relatively straight, as straight can be, and the mat, the sort of the work mat that I use working on my cars is, you know, is still straight enough for what I need. So you can see there that this camber gauge, I've currently got it set at 0, and I'll just, what I tend to do is hold that down here so it doesn't move, and just move it into the wheel, and you can see that I might better move the camera so you can see, but it's, you can see that the top of the gauge and the bottom of the gauge are just touching the rim, and the dial, to the best of my eyesight, is at 0. Okay, so I've already changed that by adjusting the top camber link on the rear wishbone, upper wishbone, and it's on these cars. It is literally just a bar with a hole in it, and something like a small Allen key, like that. That just goes in and turns it. So I've done that one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the camera around the other side, and I'll show you the inside rear wheel. So you can see there the right side rear wheel. Now I haven't adjusted this one, so I'm going to try and put this on there without knocking everything flying, because I haven't got a lot of room here. So the camber gauge currently is set to 0. I might have to move this round a bit, because you'll better see better there. That's better. I've just got to, there we go. So you can kind of see the top. So that's a pretty good angle. So without my clumsy old retro arms and legs, who tend to do what they want nowadays, I'm sure that's gonna. So looking at that, this is dead 0, set 0, and we're going to go in the middle, and you can see already there's a gap between the top and the bottom. Hopefully you can see that, so I'll just move that in a lot like that. So I've got to lengthen the top link camber sort of bar, if you like. If I wanted to measure that, where that is, where it currently set, I'm going to move that in, and it's just touching the wheel. Yeah, it's not a lot in it, actually. It definitely is out, but it's not a lot. There we go. So the wheel does have a little bit of play as well, but it's definitely more sort of cambered in than the other wheel. So what I'm going to do is adjust this. I'm going to move the camera so I don't knock it flying. I'm going to adjust this with that little wrench that I've got, just to lengthen the bar. You might not be able to see that because my big Chernobyl hands are in the way. So I think it's got to go, you've got to kind of undo it. So just bear with me while I fiddle around with this. It's a bit awkward this side because the gears are in the way. So I'm trying to move it so I haven't got to. There's probably a tool that does this. I've done it a bit there. It doesn't need to move a lot. So just make sure that's fairly straight, fairly stable. So we put the gauge back to 0. Into the wheel, and there's no play there now at all, there's no daylight. So let me move my camera. So looking at down that, you can do where it's touching the sort of the top. Also that is 0. I don't think. Very slight. It is very slight. So we'll just move that top link bar again. Just another. I mean, that's not even a turn actually on there. So we'll move it around again, like that. So that's pretty much a whole turn. Right, so reset that one, put it in the middle. There we go. So hopefully that makes sense. You can see now that both rear wheels, it doesn't look, it was a bit dubious. My eyesight's going. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, I mean the wheels are plastic, they're not going to bend. I suppose I could stretch, but that's more, so upright, fairly equal. On the Schumacher, we can also do track and tow. I haven't got a tracking gauge. That will be, the tracking gauge will be the next purchase. So we'll just quickly move round to the front of the car. I'll just move the car around so it's facing the camera to make it easy for filming, and I'll show you the front. So that's the front left wheel. Now you tend to want to run a bit of camber. So you can see already there's daylight there, that's on 0, just pushed in. I'm going to hold it there, and then move the top in. And I think that must be mil, so we're working mil, so that's 1, so about 3. If I move the camera a bit closer, I can't see that from here. 1, 2, about 3 mil. I think that's too much for a 1/10 car. That's like, if you 1 mil, assuming that that is a millimetre on the gauge, scaling it down to the amount of mil on a 10th scale car, what's that? 3 centimetres of toe of camber. That's probably too much. We'll just move over to the other side. So that's the other way. I can't quite get the camera where I want it. So we'll reset the gauge. That's it, relatively flat. We'll go in on the middle. Hold that down. Might move the camera so you can see the reading. A bit awkward. There we go. It's not going to be perfect. And that's probably 3 mil as well. So they're both towing in. So I keep saying toe in. The camber on both front wheels is about, I'm going to move the gauge so I can see my little tired eyes. It's over 3 mil. This one's more like 4 mil. Just I can't see it from the angle I'm at, and the camera's not large enough for me to see it anyway. So we've got a mil too much on the right hand wheel front, and the left one's 3. I personally think, even for, I mean, I don't know, am I really overcomplicating it? So, but what I will do, I'll take maybe 2 mil each side is perhaps the preferred amount. So that one there's, like I say, that's 1, 2, 3, nearly 4, almost. So let me just adjust this. So we're going to take this out. So I'll try and move the camera so you can see me. There we go. Is it going to be that way or is it that way? I think it's the other way. Yeah, it's quite awkward to adjust all the stuff, I must admit. I don't know if that's correct. It's hard. It feels like it's not doing. Down. So that's not quite a turn. I'll use the grid lines on the Tamiya. Well, it's not Tamiya this one, but fake Tamiya work mat, so you can keep the wheels pointing in a straight line. But move the camera over again, a bit more. It's a bit better there. It was on a slight lip, so you can see that's the front. That was my eyesight was even half as good, nearly 4 mil. So we go to the centre. I want about 3 or 2. So that's level. Do you know what I mean? It's my I don't know. My limbs are not connected to my brain. Put that in. So there is a bit of play in that wheel, but that's kind of just touching. Look at that. It's not quite. It's nearly 2 mils. There is a bit of play in that actually, so let's try that again. I think that's close in. Now we are talking minuscule amount. So that's on 0. Let me just. Maybe you can see that a bit better there. I keep forgetting you can't see what I can see. And I can't see a lot. There. As difference it makes no odds as far as what we're concerned really, I suppose. Let me just put that in front of the camera. It's a lot, the light's terrible. Hopefully you can see that. Let's get back a bit there. So that's 2 mil. I'll go with that. So that's 2 mil on the front, and we're just going to double check the other side now. I have noticed is that because I've lined up the car with the grid lines, this side is towing in slightly. So I do need to change that. I'll do that off camera because I haven't got a measuring tool for that yet. So we go in. That's on 0. Just touch the tyre there, the bottom. Hold it steady. Move it in. And what have we got there? Just look at my eyes. It's probably over, so it's slightly more on that one. So I'm just going to undo the top link best I can without moving the car so much. Can't see it from there actually, it's very difficult. Usually I've got my glasses on today, so I'm going to undo without moving the car. So I have adjusted that. Let's move back out a little bit. So we're looking at 2 mil. Move that in. That's on 0. There's a slight gap. There's a slight play in the ball joints, and that is, if you just look with my own eyes, that's a mil. So. Yeah, that's something that I've probably gone too much. I turned it about a turn. Let's try that again. Yeah, so that one there is only about a mil. So I've literally got to just go the other way a fraction. I mean, we are. In one hand, I'm saying 3 mil, 2 mil, 1 mil, millimetres, it can make a difference, and there's me trying to get to that difference. So let's put that like that. Let's move the camera, see the gap. Without trying to put too much pressure on this. That's in. So that's nice and that's all touching. And what have we got on that now? Yeah, that's closer to 2 mil. So it's a neat tool to use. It gets things a bit more accurate. At least if you set the datum 0 and you move something, you know it's going to be where you move it to. Sometimes you eyeball things up. I mean, I can see at the moment I've got the left wheel pointing in one direction and the right wheel pointing in another direction. So the tracking is out on this. So unfortunately, I'm going to adjust that by eye, exactly what I said, the opposite what I've done a minute ago. But yeah, so that's kind of more setup things for your RC. It's just an added dimension to your hobby, really. I mean, if you're racing, then it's quite important, I guess, that you do this, if the car or the class allows. But for pissing about outside doing speed runs, I don't think it makes any difference at all. But at least it will keep the car more stable if you are going quicker. So I suppose there is a benefit for it. And plus, this is just something I like doing. I must admit that fiddling around with setups is something that I do enjoy. I just like the dynamics and the sort of the theory behind it. Not all kits are adjustable, but you can buy hop-up parts which allow you to adjust and fettle. But anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully that'll be a short-ish video. We'll get this out soon. We'll try and get this running, and we can go from there. But thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and bye for now.